Good morning. Welcome to Finding Freedom from Addiction podcast. I'm your host, Ken Metcalf, and this is Morning Meat. Today we're going to talk about season. I'm looking forward to this morning's message. I'm going to get my microphone set here, and let's just get right into it. Lord, we thank you this morning that you're with us always. When we fail, when we succeed, you've never left us, you never will. That's your promise, God, that you will never leave us. Lord, I ask this morning that you let the words of my mouth be edifying to the ears that hear it, and Lord, let them hear exactly what you would have them to hear this message, whatever this message is for them. Lord, let that sink into their heart, Father, as well as mine. And I thank you in the name of Jesus. Today, as I sat at my desk this morning, thinking about this and looking through my Bible, reading, and I came to Ecclesiastes as I was opening my Bible this morning. And I realized that often we go through seasons and we just don't understand why we're going through that season. Why is this? What is this? What's the purpose God has for this? And maybe it's even more. Maybe it's more of not so much what the purpose He has, but why. Why am I going through this? And sometimes it's just that there's a time to be going through it. And we've got to go through some stuff. Reality is, there are things that we do not understand, at least in the moment that we're going through them. Sometimes, rarely find things, but there are things that we find we never understand. I in my life try to look backwards often and reflect and see what was God doing at a particular season, at a particular point in time. Why was it that I was going through that thing? And what was there to gain from it? What did I miss? So I want to start in Ecclesiastes chapter 3. This is King Solomon speaking, and it reads as follows. To everything there is a season, and to every time, and a time to every purpose under the heaven. A time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck up that which is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to get, and a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to rend, and a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time of war, and a time of peace. That's Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. And as I was reading that this morning, I realized that more often than not, in my life at least, I don't know what God's doing. I get frustrated. Going through things that are painful, they're difficult. The struggles don't seem to make any sense. But yet, if I continue to believe, as we've been talking for the past couple of days, and trust in God, then I can trust that this season is for my benefit. It's God doing something specifically for my good and for me to grow and to become more like Him, for me to cast off parts of me that are not beneficial, for me to hear Him in the midst of a storm. I think of Elijah on top of Mount Carmel when Elijah had faced all of the priests, and there was quite the battle that went on there. There was Elijah said to them, "Let's put your God against my God." He was talking to the people. The people were falling between two positions. They were riding the fence, and Elijah said, "Hey, today's the day you got to choose who's God." And so he offered them up a challenge and said, "Hey, you offer a sacrifice to your God. I'll offer a sacrifice to the God, and the one that the sacrifice is consumed, hey, that's God." So it went on in that story that the priests cut themselves and hollered. And when I thought about that, cutting themselves, how many people have you known that did self-harm? That they were looking for peace. They were looking for a solution. They were looking to hide the pain, so they created even more pain in cutting themselves. And I found that an interesting tie there that I have yet to figure out completely, but I know there's a connection, and I've been asking God to reveal it to me so that I might be able to help those as well that have been through self-harm. But the story goes on that they did everything all day long. Elijah even mocked them, telling them that maybe he's sleeping, their God, he's not listening. And he built the altar, he built a fire, he put the bullock on it, he poured a bunch of water on it, and then fire came from heaven, consumed the offering, and the fire was so hot that it even turned to sand to glass. What a mighty victory. The Bible goes on and said that he then slew 400 prophets of Baal. I mean, this was a victory. Yet when he got word that the queen, Jezebel, had sent that he's going to die, she's going to kill him, he went and hid in a cave, and a great storm was happening, and the lightning and thunder and rain pouring, and he's hiding in this cave, and he can't hear God. It's really, when you read the story, it is totally illogical. This man of God just saw God do a miraculous thing in front of him, brought a miraculous victory in his house, and as soon as word came that the enemy was after him again, as soon as there was a story that this hellacious woman named Jezebel, the queen, was after him, his entire countenance changed. He went from being a confident man of God to cowering in a cave. And this was a time for Elijah to realize that God is not always in the big show. This was a season he had to go through, a moment in time, and some seasons are short. Some seasons are long. You ever had a winter that started early and ended late? You just wished it would warm up. Well, those are some of the longer seasons. Then you find that you have a winter like we had this past year that really wasn't much of a winter at all. It kind of came and went without any fanfare. So Elijah's going through this season, and it was a still, small voice. God had not left him. He was still there. But Elijah could not hear him for the distraction. When we're going through these seasons, the word says it, there is a time for all these things that I read. When we're going through one of those must-be seasons, maybe we just need to get still. Getting still's hard. Activity's easy. Doing stuff is easy. But being still is hard. And when you're battling addiction, every day still is your greatest enemy. Stillness, aloneness is your greatest enemy. Because that's when the voices are the loudest. That's when the enemy is speaking to you the loudest. The enemy is lightning and thunder and rain and wind. He's all those things. And yet to be still. The Bible says, "Be still and know that I am God." Be still. That's the first hard thing. And in the midst of all of the activity of the enemy, be it in a room all alone with nothing happening, and the voices, that voice from inside you, voice from outside you, that temptation, that lust for the thing that's held you, those wanting to go back to your old ways even though you've moved on. Because of the pain, it's so important at that moment for us to be still. And then the second most important thing we talked about already this week or last week is knowing God. I actually talked about that when I was preaching a funeral yesterday. You got to know Him. You got to do what it says in the Psalms. You got to know who He is. Know that He's unchanging. Know that His plan for you is good and not evil. Know that there's a purpose in your life. Know that He's ordering your steps. You have to know these things. And the only way you know these things is because you have read His Word. And you've read His Word, and you've read His Word, and you've read His Word, not for the sake of reading. You're not reading for distance. How many pages can I read today? You're not reading from time. I must spend an hour this morning reading my Bible with God. I've tried that. 45 minutes into it, you're just drudging through the last minutes because you got to get that hour, and there's absolutely nothing to be gathered. I can remember the moment in my life when I realized to stop reading for distance and start reading for depth. I had a habit at the time. I would read my Bible at night in bed. Angie would be laying there beside me, and I would be reading the Word. And when I came to a place that made me go, what are you saying, God? What are you saying to me? I would stop and lay my Bible on my chest, and I would just meditate on that thing that caused me to pause. And often I would wake up in the morning with the Bible still on my chest, still there. And in the morning, many times I would have revelation of what I was meditating on. Because I gave God the honor that God is due by saying, I'm not reading your Word as a chore I must do because I have a time and a season to read. I have to read. I was reading His Word because I needed to know Him. How can I serve a God that I don't know? How can I trust a God that I don't know? And see, the Word says, if you seek me, you'll find me. When you find me, you'll love me. If you're reading but you're not seeking, what are you going to find? You're going to find facts. You're going to find truth, but will you receive it? There's a season for everything. And in that season, we need to be submissive to God. We need to be listening to God. Listening for God. Focusing on Him, not on the storm before. Maybe it's the other way. Maybe you're in the midst of a season of blessing, and you're so excited to be in a season of blessing because you've just come out of a season of drought. A season where you couldn't hear from Him, you were broke, struggles, sickness, children issues, church issues, people issues. And you've just come into that, and you're in this season of blessing where life seems to be going great. Don't neglect the seeking of Him. Because you may find that soon your love changes from loving Him to loving the stuff He provided. And then you're going to have to reassess again and see, where's my love for Him? So I hope this morning that was as clear out of my mouth that it out of sounding in my head. I hope this morning that whatever season you're in, that you're seeking, that means looking hard, going to find him, determined to find him. Not just going through the motions. Every day must be a day where you're seeking. Where are you? I don't care what status you're in. Where are you at on the ladder of your relationship with God? Doesn't matter. Seeking. Be honest with him. Be honest with him in your failings. Be honest with him in what you think are your successes. Just be honest with him. Because he already knows. Do you think that God didn't know where Adam and Eve were when he came walking through the garden after they'd eaten the forbidden fruit? But yet he asked Adam, Adam, where are you? And Adam's response is just unbelievable. Adam said, I'm hiding. God said, well, Adam, why are you hiding? And the entire time, God's trying to elicit a conversation with Adam. Adam, speak to me. I know you failed me, but speak to me. I've come looking for you. Aren't you looking for me? And Adam said, no, I'm hiding. And God said, why are you hiding, Adam? And he said, because I'm naked. He'd been naked all along. You see, sometimes in the midst of addiction, we're naked, but we don't even know it. We're just so consumed by the slavery of the madness that we don't even know what state we're in. And then when we realize what state we're in, we realize we're naked. I'm naked before God. We hide. In this season of your life, don't hide. Seek him. You'll find him. The word says so. Oftentimes I visualize that as when I'm playing hide and seek with a little kid. A little one, 3, 4 years old. And I'm hiding in plain sight, behind the curtains, my feet sticking out. Why am I hiding like that? Because I want them to find me. I want them to have that success of finding. I want them to have that joy of finding. I see God in the same way in that scripture, that he's sitting there in plain sight hiding, saying, find me, come find me. Find me, so when you find me, you'll love me. And now we have a real relationship. Thank you for joining me this morning. I thank you for joining Finding Freedom from Addiction podcast and our morning meet. I look forward to these every single day. I had said to someone yesterday that it's amazing how when you make a commitment to God, how quickly the enemy moves in and tries to make it difficult. I've been doing it 25 years, and that's still his tactic. So if you're just new to this, be prepared. That's his tactic. With every success, he'll try to make it difficult because he does not want you to love God. He wants you to hate God just like he does. Thank you, and God bless.